And welcome to another Biz Buzz segment here on the Blank Page to Bestseller podcast. I am your host, Peter Wheatmartian, and as always, I am joined by Colleen and KZ. I'm going to start off this one by first asking Colleen, KZ, how you guys doing today?
Groovy. The sun is shining.
Yay!
Gonna
I'm
be
on
cold, but it's
uh, yep, it is. It's still cold. I'm on the road heading home to visit with my mother for a bit and then and stopping to record with you folks.
The grind never stops, right?
Yep.
I do want to just start off with a little bit of lightheartedness because I don't necessarily think what we're talking about is super like intense, but it does have some serious implications, especially for writers and the business side of writing. So wanted to start off with something nice and fun, and hopefully we can end with some nice and fun stuff as well. But today is a discussion, let's call it, over some of the recent, I'm going to just call it Amazon news because there's a couple of different things that all come together. Number one, we're definitely going to talk about the recent news of Amazon disallowing Kindle downloads. I know, KZ, you're going to have some really good information on that because you are the quote unquote expert on that, I would say. But also, we're going to touch on just some things like different ways. We've talked about this in the past. There's a blank or a Biz Buzz segment we did about going wide versus staying exclusive with KU. And that's kind of what the whole discussion is going to cover too, the business side of things. Kind of what some readers are seeing recently, what authors specifically are seeing from those readers' decisions, and just kind of what's going on in the Kindle world. So, first of all, let's just start off with this big news that just came out, and it just started, what was it, last Tuesday, I want to say, about
26th, February
yeah,
26th.
the 26th. So the lack of downloading from your Kindle to other devices. So KZ, can you just give us a little bit of like a high level overview of what that means for what that means and then what that means specifically for authors?
Yeah, sure. Glad to do that, Peter. So first of all, there's a lot of emotion on this, and there's a lot of people who don't understand what it means. So one of the things that I think is important to do is unpack exactly what it's all about. And it's not that you can't download from your from Kindle books. You can, but you have to download now. You have to download them into specific formats. Okay. What they've done is to disallow USB download, meaning that you can take a book directly from Kindle and download it to any device using a USB connection. Now, I'm going to tell you that connection has always been wonky, and I'm not surprised that they're finally doing away with it because it really is not a fun one. I stopped using it a long time ago because it was just so darn difficult to use. Um, but they, I mean, that's the crux of it. Okay, what the impact is for readers is if you are already using your a Kindle device, if you're using a computer or a device that connects to an Amazon account for you to read your books through the Kindle library using your device without downloading it as onto a separate USB connection, there's no impact. Okay, so for you, that you're still seeing all of your books. Okay, and if you purchase the book, you're still seeing your books. Okay, so all of that is still there. What There are two reasons that they've done this. One, and I don't want to go too far into this because I know we want to stop and talk about it as we go through, but I want to get this up front. One, um, the USB connection is out of date. Seriously, the going and most people who are downloading to something to USB are probably putting it into a product that is not really um, the right one to be reading their books in. Okay. And two, that same USB connection has been seriously misused by people who are stealing books. Okay, so it's closing a door there. And then on a third sort of related is honestly, Amazon Kindle really just wants you to use their product. That's the bottom line too. I mean, but it's not just that. That's part of it. Those three pieces are all part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask just for clarification, because I think it is important for readers like myself. I just downloaded a new book last week, and I'm reading it on my phone. I can still read that book that I downloaded from Amazon on my phone, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And I
Mhm.
can use it on my Kindle and my the computer, the Kindle and the computer, and that's
Any
all the same.
any device that you have connected to your that universe, yes, you can continue to read it.
So from the reader's perspective, not too much has changed except the ability for them to download it. So I guess that's affecting, you can't necessarily download it from Kindle now and use another device that's not a Kindle or an Amazon device or an Amazon app to read the book. Is that basically what the big change is?
Essentially, if your device does not recognize a Kindle format, now there
Mhm.
are devices that will recognize the Kindle format. You can download it to that one because it'll recognize it. But that'll be part of what's recognized in your library.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, and it really. No, I'm not going to go any further. But yes, just answering your question.
So my question is here, so if I have a Samsung or an iPad, download, does that mean I cannot download it to those devices?
You can download it to your Kindle. You access it through your Kindle library.
Like the
Mhm.
Kindle
Yes.
Cloud Reader, you would have
Mhm.
that on that
You
that
would install that
device.
on, yes, you would it would, exactly, Colleen. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good way of phrasing it. Yes. So the Kindle Cloud Reader, which will be recognized by pretty much any current device these days.
Mhm.
As long as your device recognizes the Kindle Cloud Reader, you'll have access to it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That was a really good clarification.
Thank you, thank you. I aim to please, people.
Oh, but I think what's coming across from this is I know you had mentioned that a lot of authors, not a lot of readers were using this, or unscrupulous readers. How about that? We're using this in unscrupulous ways and downloading books and basically selling them illegally or putting or downloading them illegally. Is that basically what's the aim of this is to stop, from what
That
my
is definitely
understanding? Yeah.
that is definitely a big portion of this. And I wouldn't so much say it's readers, although they obviously are reading the books, but it is people who are simply bad actors. There are people who make a business of downloading books and stealing them.
Hmm.
And authors are continually on the lookout for their books being stolen. This is more prevalent in the fiction world than in the nonfiction world, but it happens in both
Hmm.
ways. And this has always been an avenue, a direct avenue. Download it to to using the USB download, and then you have essentially a PDF of that document of
Hmm.
that book, okay, that you can then open up.
Hmm.
You have a program like Camtasia, which reads multiple formats, and that will take care of it as well. A side element of this that we haven't talked about much, and that is that Mobi, MOBI, which is a format for ebooks, is also no longer going to be accepted by Amazon, by KDP, okay, for uploading as a manuscript for an author. That is directly related to this. The Mobi format has been out of date for a long time, and it also has been an avenue that has been available. There were just too many holes, too many ways for the bad actors to get your book if you upload it in a Mobi format.
So what format is going to be accepted, Candy or
Um,
Casey?
it's okay. Any of the all of your uploads are going up through EPUB at this point.
Okay,
Okay.
that was my question. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to convert your manuscript, no matter what you write it in. You write it in Word, you write it in Pages, no matter how you write it, you've got to convert that into an EPUB and also a PDF.
Hmm.
Okay. PDF is still going to be used for you to directly deliver it to someone, to a reader, okay? And that's on you to make sure it's secure. But EPUB is the only format right now that is being accepted pretty much by anyone who is publishing books, who's printing books, okay?
And I think that this move is good for authors because it standardizes the formats.
Yes.
So like you mentioned, pretty much anyone is accepting EPUB and EPUB only. So it's a lot easier for an author to say, "Hey, Amazon, here's my EPUB. Hey, Ingram, here's my EPUB." Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, throughout the, whatever, if they decide to go wide on their distribution, it's a lot easier to just have one format.
Yeah, 100% makes, and for most of us, we've been in the EPUB world for a long time now.
Mhm,
Mobi was very difficult to edit.
mhm.
EPUB is you go back into your EPUB file and you can do pretty much anything you need to do with it. Mobi
Mhm.
was a nightmare. I remember those days.
Oh, yeah, I definitely, like I said, I think having that standard format and that easier, hopefully to use format is going to be better for everyone involved.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. On a second, somewhat tangentially related topic, um, because of some of this change that Amazon announced, and also just some things going on in the world, it seems like at least through our Threads account, I don't know if any one of our listeners listens or not listens, reads Threads or use Threads, but there seems to be some um discontent from readers, let's just say, especially geared towards Amazon. And sometimes I've seen posts over the last maybe month or so that it seems like authors are sensing a lower revenue from their KU, their Kindle Unlimited, and people are saying it might be a reader boycott, it might not be a reader boycott. Have I haven't really been able to put my two or my finger on exactly what's going on. KZ, I know you're a fiction writer. Have you seen anything like this pop up in your circles?
I'm not seeing anything, any place that says the word boycott or buying less or reading less. No, I haven't seen that in any of the discussions that I'm part of. But I would like to take that a step further and just talk about it for a second. The holiday season we just went through, typically page reads are lower. Okay, so book sales are usually high, but page reads are low through the November, December, and January season. They pick back up coming in January, February, and through the rest of the year until the summer again. Page reads come and go because people read when they have the time. And so bottom line, if there is, whether it's organized or not, if there is a trend, if you will, of readers choosing not to go into KU and read, choosing not to buy books and read, it's going to show up with Amazon and they will take action.
Mhm.
They are a business. They're going to know what their sales are, what their reads are year to year. They know what they are seasonally. So if there is something going on, they will take action. I haven't seen any discussion about this from in official circles.
Mhm.
As authors, I've seen both sides of this. Some of my author friends have said they've seen fewer page reads, and others have said they're through the roof. So we're not seeing any consistency. I'm with you. If there is a trend here, it's not become evident yet, and may not be. We just don't know. So the bottom line is readers are fickle, and we hope that they are pleased with the books that we present, and that they will read them. And if they don't read them, well, then we have to look into why and figure out a way to fix it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And for our authors who are listening, I want to point out too a couple of things. One, last summer we did a series, a BizBuzz series, where we talked about different definitions within the publishing industry. And one of those things is the difference between staying exclusive with KU and going wide. So I'll put
Yeah.
a link to that in the show notes. Go back and listen to that. I think it's a great explanation between the two. But what that really leads me to is, as an author, you do have to also treat your book and your writing as a business if you want it to make money. There are plenty of reasons. If you just want to go and write your book and whatever happens, happens, that's perfectly fine. If you are trying to treat your authorship as a business, you have to treat it like a business. And
Yeah.
so maybe you don't see as many page reads. Maybe your page reads are trending down. Well, there are other options out there. That's what I want to say.
I'm a big fan, Peter, I agree with you. I'm a big fan as a business person. I'm a big fan of not putting all of my eggs in one basket.
Mhm.
And however, on the on the on the on the the other side of the coin, the KU system, the Amazon Kindle KU system, Kindle Unlimited system, where authors are paid by page read and readers are allowed to, by subscription, borrow so many books a month, okay, for one flat fee. That system is a great incubator for writers. When you find your spot in that system, you can make double the money that you would have been making just on sales alone.
Mhm.
Okay, and sometimes triple and more. It's amazing what you can do there.
Mhm.
But if that's the only thing, if that's the only place where your books are getting read, then you run the risk if the readers, for whatever reason, decide that they're not going to pay their KU subscription. Maybe they just got fired, okay, unexpectedly, you
Mhm.
know. So and now they can't afford their KU. All right.
Mhm.
So, but they might buy a book outright if it was, something they really wanted to read and put it into their forever library. Okay, so it makes a difference that way. So going
Mhm.
wide is is the long-term goal for anyone who is treating their book as a business,
Mhm.
because you need to have multiple marketplaces to sell your product. You are creating a product, you are selling it.
Mhm.
And that, as much as we like to be to think of ourselves as just writers, unfortunately, the other side of the coin, if you want to make money with your writing, you have to remember that.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think part of this too, I want to point out is you can have a lot of readers on KU, but it might behoove writers, authors, people who are treating this as a business to find other ways to capture their readers as well.
Yes.
So you might have some readers on KU, but do you also have a way for them to maybe subscribe to your newsletter, or do you have a website that they can go to and follow you, or have social media that they can follow you on, so that if, like you mentioned, they are suddenly finding a reason to not read your books on KU, maybe you can point them in another direction where they can buy your book, maybe, or maybe they can read it on, I don't know, Kobo, or they can go into a bookstore and order a hard copy of your book, whatever that may be. So I think that's the other thing is, are you as an author really trying to capture your reader on more than just a nameless page number or page read? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And the beauty of being a writer in today's world is that you have so many choices. There really are so many ways for us to get our word, our books out into
Mhm.
the public, and without having to print up, 1,000 copies and put them
Mhm.
in the garage in cartons and dribble them out one at a time when somebody wants to buy it, you know. So, or
Mhm.
just throw them away eventually because they didn't sell. And there are heartbreaking stories about people who have invested in the past thousands and thousands of dollars in that. And unfortunately, there are bad actors in this business who still propose, who are still selling people on that idea.
Oh, come on, KZ. No, there's not.
I wish there weren't, Colleen, I really do.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's why we're trying to educate everybody and
That's exactly true. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, I agree. So,
Yeah. So, is there anything else on this somewhat nebulous topic of Amazon and somewhat nebulous topic of making your book your business that we haven't touched on yet? Or do you think we've kind of put a pin in it so far?
I think we've pinned it. I really do. I think we've pinned it to the wall. I want to leave this open because there are going to be changes. There are going to be additional changes coming. So
Mhm.
don't be surprised, Peter. If I won't be surprised, Peter, if we come back with part two to this discussion, in a couple of months, because there are always going to be changes. There are a lot of changes in the world right now, and
Mhm.
those changes will impact readers.
Mhm.
so
Sometimes more and sometimes less. Go ahead, Colleen. Sorry.
no, so true. And it's just amazing how much and how quickly the publishing world changes. I mean,
Mhm.
it is like going to a master class every week, trying to figure it out to help authors and get going and making sure you're on up to date. But
It's true. When I think back to when we first started
oh,
this journey, or when I first started this journey, and the only option was a traditional publisher and an agent, and shopping your book to agents, number one, and then the agent shopping your book to publishers, or sending it to the publisher and going into the slush pile. There's still people who are doing it that way. That's like going to Vegas and playing the
right.
slot machine. It's
It
literally like playing the slot machine in
it
Vegas. It really is.
it really
And
is.
we have so many more choices now.
Right. And it's hard for people, authors too, which is another discussion for another day, that when they're told that they need to go to a traditional publisher and they don't really have that background or the audience and that type of thing. But
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, the traditional publishers is a place for them, no question about it.
right.
But there's also a place for the self-published authors now.
Mhm. Yep, completely agree. And like you said, this is ever changing. So I am sure that we will be back sometime in the probably not so distant future talking about some similar topics. But I do want to reach out to our listeners here, readers, authors. Have you noticed any changes with this new inability to download from Kindle, or have you yourself seen any um, interest or effort, whether it be a actual boycott or a lessening of page reads, or maybe you're like one of KZ's writer friends who are seeing a growth in page reads. What's going on? What are you seeing? Because we'd love to talk more about what's actually going on from people boots on the ground, people who are seeing this live. So reach out, send us a comment down in the show notes, reach out to us on any of our social media pages. All those links are down in the show notes. So let us know what you're seeing, because we'd love to talk more about what's actually going on in the publishing industry. So I do want to say, Colleen, KZ, thank you. I think this was a great discussion. And what we'll do is we'll be back next week talking more about what's going on in the publishing world.